Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Why Bother with your host, John Szablewski, the podcast that didn't need to be made by the host who really didn't want to make it. Today, I have a very special guest. President of Buddy's Second Chance Dog Rescue, Julie Starr, is here with me today. And this is a very, very exciting episode because my fiancé and I have just adopted a dog from Buddy's, and I'm really excited to get to talk to the woman behind the magic. So without further ado, let me welcome my guest for this evening, Julie Starr. Julie, how you doing today?
Hi, John. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak with me. I'm very excited about this.
Well, thank you for having me.
So, Julie, I got to ask, when somebody takes on a position and starts a rescue or a volunteer organization for a greater good, what draws somebody to want to do that? And how did you get to the point you are? What drew you to this position?
I think just a love for animals all my life kind of put me in a position where when I started the rescue almost 8 years ago, I was fostering a dog through the SPCA, a foster to adopt situation. And a friend of mine had reached out after, that was over with and said, I saw this post online about a dog in West Virginia who was supposed to be euthanized, and they forgot to euthanize the dog, and now it's going to get euthanized again. So what do you think about going to West Virginia and getting this dog and bringing it up here and, fostering it and kind of networking to all our friends? And I said, yeah, I'm on board for it. So, we ended up hooking up with the woman down at the shelter, meeting her in Pittsburgh, getting the dog. His name was Buddy, and he was the first dog we brought up here. He ended up going to actually my co-founder's brother-in-law. And then the woman at the shelter said, would you mind taking another dog from us? And it's a high kill shelter, so they euthanize just for space. And I said, yeah, absolutely. So next came Ranger, my other foster. And then, it took me a while to get him adopted, but we networked. And then it was, well, what if we just start our own rescue? And back then there wasn't a lot of rescues around like there is now. There was a solid, like maybe 5. So it was like, okay, well, what do we name it? And we figured Buddy was our first dog. So Buddy, and we gave him his second chance. So Buddy's Second Chance. And our goal one night was to get 500 followers on Facebook, and we did it. And it just grew and grew and, exploded. And the last couple of years has just been incredible.
That is
absolutely incredible.
That is fantastic. To start off with something like that, which is a great story, and it's also just like so heartwarming that we have this animal that was like, pretty much its number was up, and it was able to live on its life. So that is phenomenal that you were able to do it. So I thank you for taking that leap and for continuing this throughout the years. So thank you.
No, absolutely. It's my passion now. It's my life. So it's, at times it's hard, but, for the most part, it's very rewarding.
Sure. Well, thank you. So I got a couple questions about the rescue life, I guess I would say. A lot of times we hear a lot of different vocabulary, a lot of jargon that goes around, like a foster parent, an adoptive parent, a volunteer. What do some of those different titles mean? Like, what exactly is a foster parent when it comes to an animal?
Well, in our organization, we have fosters, and we also have separate volunteers who don't foster. So our foster families, basically, they take the dogs that we bring up here, they take them into their home, they work with them, they train them, if there's any issues, health issues, they keep them. And then once they're ready, they go up for adoption. So basically, they're kind of just the go-between between bringing them from the shelters and getting them adopted. So we don't like to take a dog from a shelter, bring it up here and put it in a cage. We put it in a home where it gets love and what it needs before it can go to its home. So there's those volunteers, the foster families, but then we also have volunteers who do things like process applications, get people approved, do events, things like that, help at transport. Those are people that not everybody can foster a dog, but they still want to help out in some way.
Sure. So you say transport. Now, where does Buddy's predominantly get their animals from?
Predominantly we pull from Texas and Georgia. Those are our two biggest states. Yeah. We have, we used to use Tennessee. We used to pull from West Virginia. We've pulled from Alabama. We've pulled from the Carolinas. But our main states that we do every month are Texas and Georgia.
Interesting. Now, in those areas, is there something specific as to why there's so many pets that are up in those shelters, or is it just because there's like the population issue? Like, what is causing that to be so high?
It's probably one of the most common questions I get when I do interviews is, why these states, why down south? And I mean, honestly, I think it's just the laws are different. I think the mentality towards animals is different. And this is not a broad band of everybody, obviously. This
Sure.
is, but just, I would say, a majority, a lot of times animals down there are looked more as possessions than they are family pets. So a lot of these animals are left to roam on their own, or they're tied up outside, and they're not cared for the way they should be up here. They don't get the vetting. They don't get spayed and neutered. Up here, it's like they're treated like royalty. People love their animals. You know what I mean? They obsess. It's their children.
Yeah.
I just feel, you see people, they dress them up. They do all kinds of fun things with them. And I feel like in the South, it's different, and it's sad because they have so many high kill shelters that these animals that are fully adoptable, we're talking pregnant mothers, we're talking puppies, not just sick and old dogs, they're euthanized because there's no space in the shelters for them. So they are perfectly adoptable to a family, but because there's so many being either surrendered or just found on the streets, there's nowhere to put them all.
Sure.
So it's really sad. And I just think that, a lot of it needs to start with legislation and, getting stricter laws for these types of situations.
Definitely. I mean, these poor animals, they didn't ask for the life that they were given.
No.
And when people say when you make that commitment, you're committing to this life, just like it would be a child. Right. So that is a shame. And hopefully we'll be able to in the future, be able to rectify that. So now, when we adopted our dog, we said that, through the Buddy's mission that she was rescued from a kill shelter. And I guess for me, I didn't really, I ultimately understand what that means. Right. But I guess I don't understand what the criteria is for a dog to be euthanized in that situation. Is it the length of time? Is it like, what do they put there to say like, okay, you know what, this is, we have to move on with this particular dog?
I think the majority of it is kennel space. So if they have no kennels to put dogs, they're going to euthanize the dogs that have been there the longest. Obviously dogs get put down for various reasons, aggression, health, things like that. But when you have fully adoptable dogs and you're just putting them to sleep because there's nowhere to put them, so we always tell people that when you foster, you adopt, you're not just saving the life of one dog, you're saving the life of two. So when you adopted your dog, you saved Luna, but you also saved another dog who now got to take place in that foster home and pulled from that shelter. So anytime, we pull a dog, we're saving the lives of two dogs, which really, when you think about it, is incredible.
It is.
But you're making space for that dog in the shelter now. So now another dog gets another chance to stay a little bit longer, maybe until somebody can save them.
Definitely. And I, now that you say that means so much more because, you would think, when you rescue this one animal that you've done this momentous thing for this animal. And, we're very fortunate because Luna has just been such a big part of our life and we've only had her since like August,
Yeah.
And we joke about this all the time. Like we can't even think about our life without her, so it's just a great opportunity that we were given because we were looking for a dog for a little while. And like we would go on to, you would go onto a waiting list after you get approved in various rescues in the area. And you would go on the waiting list and then the dog that we would be interested in already had 500 people. And it was like, okay, well, we'll keep trying. And then one day Luna came and there it was. It was very quick. So it was meant to be, I think. So,
and that's what I tell people. People, can get frustrated and upset because, they're missing out on dogs. And it is hard because we have hundreds of pre-approved people, so when especially a desirable dog goes up on that page, it's like, bam, 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 so many people want that dog. But I always try to tell people, try to be patient because when you get the dog, you end up getting, there's a reason that you got that dog. It was meant to be. Like you missed all those dogs because Luna was meant to be with you. So you ended up with her for a reason, and it is hard. I understand, but it's tough for us because we can only, the demand is so much higher than the supply, which is scary to say because there is so many dogs, But we have to take our time with putting them in homes and vetting them and making sure behavioral wise they're good to go. We don't like to just bring them in and then rush them out the door because we want to get more in to make people happy. We got to try and make sure it's a right fit. It's important, because then you get issues like people returning dogs because it doesn't work out, and we don't want that either. So
exactly.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's like it's interesting. It's be careful what you wish for, and then it works out for a reason, right? So
yeah,
that's
100%.
That's so great. Now, we talked a little bit about the dogs that you get primarily from the South, and we were joking before this started about how Luna came from the South, and she had never seen snow before, and the snow was just crazy. She loves it now. So, how many dogs would you say probably have never seen snow until they come to Western New York?
Probably all of them. unless Georgia gets like a rare ice storm or something. I'm betting that most of these dogs that come here don't ever see snow. Although Tennessee did just get a pretty good whopping storm recently, so I know Tennessee dogs sometimes have seen some snow. But no, it's great, because it's funny, the fosters tend to complain a little bit after transport, especially when it's the colder months. Like, these dogs don't want to go outside to use the bathroom. Like, it's too cold for them. So we have tons of sweaters and jackets we outfit them all with. So it makes it a little bit easier for them to go outside.
Well, that's very kind.
Yes. We want to help the foster families as much as possible, getting those dogs outside to use the bathroom, not in their house. So.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. So when you say transport, now this is how I'm picturing it. I'm picturing like 20 volunteers in their minivans driving down south, and it's just driving back. How does that work?
So basically, what it is the shelters and the rescues we work with in the South, they provide transportation for the dogs to come up here. So whether it be we pay the transport company ourselves, or the rescue shelter itself does the transporting. So, Texas, we use a company that also has a rescue down there that pulls the dogs and keeps them for us until we can get them up here. So they board them for us out of the shelters. So we just had we just did Georgia. I apologize. Texas is coming up, but they basically pull up to our office, our facility, with a very large van, and the crates are just stacked on top of each other. The dogs are all in there, and we have the way it used to be before COVID is all the foster families just come to the van and get excited, get their dogs. But now with COVID, we have to be really careful. So we make sure everyone stays in their vehicles. We have a select few volunteers who unload the dogs, get them fitted for their collars, tags, leashes, all their supplies, food stuff. And then we have the volunteers bring to the vehicle, so people aren't, milling around and, getting bunched together so nobody gets sick. So, but yeah, it's a great experience. We have a lot of fun. We usually post videos. There's a lot of videos on our Facebook page and Instagrams of the transports, just the van pulling up, the door slides open, there's this crates full of dogs, and everyone's unloading dogs, and it's pretty exciting. So it's pretty high energy.
So do you know what type of dogs you're getting before the transport, or is this just oh, well, look what we got?
Oh, no. So what we do is the shelter basically, we have an amazing transport coordinator named Lisa, and basically the shelters send her all the available dogs they have that they need to get out, the most urgent ones, all the way down to, puppies, moms, everything. And what we do is we do a whole little write-up on them, and then we have a group chat where all the members belong, and we post the dogs available to come up, and then the members just message me which ones they want to take. And those are the ones we tag for adoption. So all the fosters get to choose what dogs they choose to foster. So whatever dog is right for their home. We have some fosters who can only foster puppies because their resident dogs don't get along with other dogs or bigger dogs. And then we have some fosters who prefer to take older dogs or adults because they're easier. So they get to choose what dogs they want to save, basically.
Wow. So this is definitely nothing that I expected. Yeah, I don't know why I pictured like this is just like, like
a free for all.
Oh, you get a dog. Oh,
you get a dog. You get a dog.
Got room for 2 more in there. Come on.
No, because we have close to we have over 100 foster homes right now, and not everyone's active at the same time. So we have some people who foster primarily in the winter months because they're very busy in the summer and aren't home enough. We have school teachers who prefer to foster in the summers when they're off. So, not everybody is able to take a dog at the same time. Some people take every single transport religiously, like our one foster, Patty, who's been with me since the very beginning. I think she's maybe missed 2 or 3 transports in like almost 8 years. Otherwise, she takes a dog off every single transport. It's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
The volunteers, that's great.
They're the heart and soul of this rescue. They really are. They're incredible.
So so we have these dogs, you take pictures of them. They're like movie stars. You put them up on your website, your social media. You're like, hey, we got this dog ready to go. Then it comes the pre-approval process. So what exactly does that entail? Now we went through it, so I kind of have an idea, but from the other end, when you're getting my application and you're like, well, this guy seems a little too crazy. What exactly is the criteria for somebody to be pre-approved?
We don't have like specific criteria. We have things that, how do I explain it? Like you don't have to meet certain things, but certain things you have to have in order for you to adopt. So if you have a resident dog, your own dog, your dog has got to be spayed or neutered. It has to be up to date on shots. We do a vet reference. We call your vet, make sure there's no red flags. Your dog's not in the vets every other week with broken bones, things like that. We call a couple personal references because, believe it or not, people will put their mother down as a personal reference. We'll call and be like, do not give them a dog. You know what I mean? Like, they're not responsible. Yeah. So you got to kind of question that, But, some rescues require that you have a fence. We don't require that. My thought is, if I'm trusting you to adopt a dog, I'm trusting you can walk the dog down the street to use the bathroom or take it to a dog park. People in the city don't have fenced-in yards. You know what I mean? So we don't require a fenced-in yard, unless we have a dog that's a runner or is known to have a flight risk, things like that. But, as long as, you're a good person and the volunteers will talk to them and get a good feeling for them. And are you going to love this dog? And you're not going to keep it in your garage. And, it's going to have a place in your home. That's the criteria we're looking for. We're looking for someone that's going to love this dog as much as we do, and we're always here. A lot of our adopters become part of the rescue. They come back to join and want to volunteer and help out. Or, people ask questions and, I need some help with some training and who do you recommend? And, it's really just a big family. But we really, I hate, some people are discouraged and like, are we going to qualify to adopt a dog? And it's like, well, yeah, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't, are you going to love this dog? Then that's good for us,
Yeah. And it's great to hear that too, because I know, and, not to put down other rescues because everybody has their own, way of doing things, their own morals, their own beliefs. But it's sometimes when we were looking, I felt like, my goodness, like this is challenging. There's a lot asked and it's and you know what, again, that they have taken that animal and they want that animal to be fine, and good for them, good that that they are doing that. But it's also nice to hear that, like you're saying, if you have that feeling that this group of these people or this person is going to love this animal and you're getting, there's no red flags, that they also have a chance. And I think that's good to know too, because there may be a lot of people that don't think about adopting a pet because they don't think that they have what it takes, or they might not be approved, so to speak.
No, absolutely. And it's hard because we do. Sometimes, people will lash out on our Facebook page, like, we'd love to adopt, but we keep getting denied. It's like, well, and every rescue is different. I'll never badmouth another rescue. Everybody has their own way of doing things and everyone is different. But a lot of people do say that it's easier just to go out and buy a dog because it's too hard to get to the loopholes of rescuing. And I hate to hear that because, we want dogs saved. So, if there's ever an issue, and we'll be upfront and be like, this is what we think would be best. And then, okay, great, you're approved, but you're not approved for all dogs. We are approving you for this dog or this type of dog because your situation isn't ideal for this type of dog.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe somebody in an apartment building isn't ideal for, a 60-pound hound who is super active, it just, every situation is so different that, we try to accommodate and adjust everything to that issue so we can help them find the right dog for them.
Mm-hmm.
We want to fit the perfect dog with the right home.
I think that's awesome too, because, stuff that I'd never thought about. And there's been a lot of press about this during this pandemic where dog adoption is up. People are home, they have the opportunity. They've always wanted to have a dog. They feel like they have the time to dedicate to this animal. And finding the dog that works into your lifestyle is is very important, because if you're, like you said, you live in an apartment building, a Great Dane may not be the best bet. But
which they are very lazy dogs, so it actually might be a perfect dog, but
might,
they're so large, that's all.
I have a studio apartment and my dog takes up a third of it. So,
Perfect.
but that's interesting. And that's something that I wonder if more people don't necessarily think about. So that kind of drives me into my next question. When people go to adopt, what are some of the things that you're surprised that they don't really think about when they do this? Like,
let me think about that for a second. So when people are adopting, what are things that they don't think about? I think the main thing that people don't think about is the time. I mean, they're like having a child that doesn't grow up and take care of itself. And that's the truth. We have 4 dogs ourselves, and it's challenging at times. It really is. I mean, there, two of our youngest 2 dogs go to day camp twice a week, because if they didn't, I mean, they already drive us crazy. I mean, just the energy. People don't understand, you can't just stick a dog in a house and forget about it and be like, well, I'll feed you and that's going to be the end of it. Yeah. They need, constant stimulation. They need attention. They need energy release. And every dog breed is different. So when you were, looking for a type of dog, and honestly, a lot of times when we post dogs for adoption, we're doing our best guess on that breed, because we don't always know the mother. And a lot of these are just 100% mutts. Yeah. So you don't know what you're always getting. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is just understanding that, you can't just stick it in a crate and forget about it. It needs love and attention. And people think, yeah, that's cool at first. And, but it's like a shiny new toy. After a while, it's like, okay, but it's a commitment. It's a lifetime commitment for that animal. Yeah. And it's not just something you can get into for, especially when parents say, well, my kids are going to take care of it. No, they're not. Trust me when I tell you, they're not. You're going to be taking care of this dog. So if you don't want to take care of the dog, don't get the dog, because the kids are not going to take care of it in the end. It's going to be you, know. Yeah. So, it's tough, because we see so many families that are so good on paper, and then we adopt them into the home and it seems to be going great. And then, you get a call 6 months later, like, we just don't have the time. We've got to return the dog. And it's like, damn, yeah, it happens, but you also are thankful that they did that instead of just dumping the dog, and now we get to find a brand new home for it. So
that's unfortunate that does happen, but at least they do, like you said, that they do contact you, and that you could hopefully replace it, and you probably have not much problem doing that, because you guys So what would you say the average placement is on a given week?
I can give you a given year, because we just did our final numbers. If you hold on 1 second, I can get that for you.
That'd be great.
We actually, I believe, almost doubled our numbers from last year. So, let's see. Hold on.
That's fantastic.
It really is, and we have a goal this year now, because now we want to do even better. So let's see. So in 2019, we took in, from the South and local dogs, 360.
Wow.
2020, 670.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're looking at an average 2 dogs a day were adopted.
Wow. That is a phenomenal feat. Congratulations.
Yeah. It's absolutely incredible.
That is fantastic. I can't, wow. I wrapping my head around that, and just knowing that is a huge thing to celebrate. I mean, my gosh, I can't even fathom the
I told the members, I said, get ready. I said, this year you guys are getting 1,000. They did me nuts, but that's okay.
We're going to have dogs in every car around here.
We're getting 500 foster homes. We're getting 1,000 dogs saved this year. So that's my goal, though, but we'll see what happens.
Well, you know what? Anything can happen now. I mean,
it's true.
Anything.
It's true.
So let's talk a little bit about older pets, and I think you refer to them as geriatrics. Is that or senior dogs? Senior dogs.
Geriatric sounds so poor. It sounds so horrible.
You are the geriatric breed now. So the senior dogs. Now, there always seems to be, and I've looked in a few of these different Facebook groups. Everybody's always jumping on the puppies. Maybe the specific breeds, so to speak. But it seems like the senior dogs, most of which are only like at the midpoint of their life. Like, it's not like they're You know, they aren't, it's not like they have like a month left to live. I mean, they got a lot of life left in them. Why do you think they always seem to get the short end of the stick?
I think, and to be honest, I mean, we honestly don't have any problem adopting out older dogs. You, for instance, adopted a senior dog. I always fostered senior dogs. I think that people are afraid because we can all admit that dogs don't live long enough. We love them and we want them around as long as we're around.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're already looking at, you know, a dog that you're going to have for 15 years and then you adopt an older dog that you're only going to have for 5 years, I think it's hard for people to grasp that concept.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard for them to know that I'm going to have even less time with this dog because it is older, where I want this dog to live forever, you know? So I think that, you know, I don't think for the most part that any, you know, I've really heard people say, well, I don't want an older dog because they're old. I think it's really just that they're not going to last long enough. They're not going to live long enough, you know?
Yeah. It's probably the heartbreak, you know, that people don't want to put in and have to lose so quickly. Yeah.
We all know losing animals isn't easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Right at the beginning of this, my mother, she had to put down 2 of her cats. They were both 16 years old. And they got sick, and she was upset about that for a long time. And she still is. And, you know, I mean, I was part of them growing up, you know, we had them forever. So yeah, it's very sad. And I can only imagine, you know, but you know, we still have, you know, those senior dogs, you know,
they got a lot of life in them.
They got a lot of life in them.
And you know, the best part about senior dogs is most of them are already trained. You don't have to do it the whole puppy stage, and they're just cool and chill and just great companion dogs.
They are. And you know what? They're so excited to just be loved. You know, they're happy to be loved, and that's great. So I have the Buddies website right here, and I thought that I would show some of the stuff to our viewers. So if you go on your Buddies Second Chance website at buddiesrescue.org, it looks like you have a couple different things here, how it works and how to apply. Mm-hmm. And it looks like you got a couple friends here that are looking for homes.
Yeah, we're low on dogs right now because we just did a transport, so the new ones aren't posted yet.
They look like they're this Izzy looks like she's a riot.
She is. She actually had I believe a stroke, and before we tagged her for rescue, and now when she walks, she does this little spinning thing that nobody really knows what it is, but she walks and then spins. So she's a lot of fun.
Well, you know, she's living life, right?
So, I tell you, people love those quirky dogs, though. The ones we think that we're going to have forever and going to take months and months to adopt out. They're like, that dog's got 10 names on its list. It's incredible.
Oh my goodness. I think about that too, because when we found Luna, she had been on the site a couple days, and I think there was only like 1 or 2 comments, and I say, people were missing out. She's a fantastic friend to have. And, you know, I'm going to show a picture of Luna right now, actually, because I have to. So there she is.
I can't take the ear. I love it.
Yeah,
she's listening to what's going on right now.
She's like, they're talking about me?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what's going on? So
beautiful.
She is. So Julie, tell me a little bit about what your organization needs and what people who are interested in volunteering could do to help out.
So what we always need is foster homes, obviously, because the more foster homes we have, the more dogs we save. And like I said, it's, you know, you're not stuck with any specific dog. You pick the dog that's right for you to foster. So, you know, it's easier. Sometimes people don't know that. Sometimes they think, oh, I'm going to join this organization. They're going to give me a dog. Mm-hmm. No, you're going to pick what dog that is best for you. So you know what kind of what you're walking into. We always need volunteers to process applications. When we do a transport, we can get hit with 100 applications in a week, and it's insane. Mm-hmm. There's times where we have to actually stop taking applications so our volunteer can get caught up, because they're very thorough. They want to make sure that everybody they're doing is being vetted correctly, and, you know, they're going to a good home. And, you know, so I would definitely say, you know, people for applications, people for fosters. We love to have people to help out at events, but unfortunately, since COVID, we haven't been doing events, which stinks, because like you said, when you saw Luna on the site, there was no, you know, only a couple comments, and you're like, well, this dog's wonderful. We always do events, so people can see the dogs in person, not just on paper.
Sure.
So, you know, we used to do pet stores, and now that we have our new facility, you know, we were doing events there, but now that COVID, we don't want that many people around. So,
Sure.
but once everything's done and we can get going with events again, we'd love to have people volunteer for events, you know, things like that.
That's fantastic. And that's awesome that, you know, you do that. So what would be a typical event that, that buddies would would typically have in a year that the world wasn't shut down?
Well, usually every year we do our big basket fundraiser, which we get like upwards of 800 baskets that we raffle off. You know, we do food, there's a DJ, things like that. We have, you know, a big basket with like TVs and things like that. So that's usually what we do every year. Last year, COVID hit actually just weeks before, so that got canceled, but we ended up doing an online auction, which turned out even better as far as what the fundraising brought in. So that worked out very well. But during a typical, you know, year, we do events at pet stores, adoption events. We would be at Petco every other Saturday in the morning. We would set up for a few hours. People would come. Fosters would bring the adoptable dogs, and potential people would come meet them. And it's a great way to see their personality, not just by a picture. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that would be a typical thing we would do. Now that we have, you know, our own facility set up, we were doing adoption events there. You know, we do Chevetta's chicken barbecue fundraisers. You know, we're doing a lot of stuff online right now. We have a huge bills giveaway right now on our Facebook page. It's a huge basket. We have a wreath. We have, you know, all kinds of fun merchandise in there, and the tickets are $5, and it gets you in the drawing for the basket. We do a lottery fundraiser every year. Our fundraising committee is incredible. They don't stop. They're always looking for ways to raise money for us.
Well, good, because if they wouldn't be on that committee now, would they?
Candace runs our fundraising committee, and she has done absolutely incredible with it. So give her a lot of props.
Good for her. Good for her. And that's awesome. So you said earlier that your goal was to maybe have 1,000 dogs adopted this year. Are there any other goals for buddies in 2021?
There is. We are looking. This is my big goal for the end of this year, is to have our own boarding, daycare, kind of training facility. We want a big complex. We want a big place where we can have all kinds of stuff that can benefit the rescue. We can hold dogs there if we need to. And that's what we're aiming for this year. We're aiming for bigger and better.
That's great, because, you know, once those 1,000 dogs get adopted,
mm-hmm.
you'll be good. You'll be set to go, right?
I can't wait. But we want a facility that we can, you know, not only that, but somewhere that we can educate people. You know, it's not just about continuing the cycle of pulling dogs to get saved, and more dogs come, we got to pull them and save them. We want to start doing more education. And, you know, before COVID hit, I was doing things in the schools, talking to the kids. And, you know, I really can't wait to get back to that, because I think education is a huge part of this too. We really got to break the cycle of, you know, spay neuter your pets, get them shots, you know, realize this is a life commitment. You know, it's just, it's a lot more education than people think than just rescuing dogs.
Yeah. And that's, you know, and now that you bring that up, I guess I never even thought about that, because, like, I would think that a dog rescue, that would be it. You know, that's what they do. You know, but it's great that education is there, because we find more and more that the more people know, or the more they're aware of, the better they would be to, you know, react differently. Right. So that's great. Okay. Let's see. It looks like we have a couple comments here I'd like to put in. I got to put this one because, you know, I live with her, so we need to make sure she can put up. So Madison says, wow, that's crazy. I never knew that's how so much of this stuff worked. Very cool. Very nice.
Hi, Madison. Thank you for adopting.
She's going to be ecstatic that you just called her out. So that's great. It looks like Adam is saying, hey, Adam, thanks for listening.
Hey, Adam.
And let's see, Sherry Dodge is saying, woot, woot.
Ah, that's my secretary.
Oh, there she is. And Jeffrey is saying, hi, Sherry. So we got a little conversation going on.
That's my husband.
Oh, well, there you go.
Bunch of jerks.
Wow. Well, that
Unreal.
is great. Well, Julie, I want to thank you so much for taking the time tonight to sit down and chat with me. I've learned a lot, and I really think that what you guys are doing are amazing over at Buddies, and I look forward to seeing your success in the new year. And I can't wait to be at the grand opening of your big complex.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm so excited. We're going to make it happen this year. This is the year. It's been a long time coming, and this is my goal for this year. And I can't thank you enough for having me on and letting me spread the word on rescue. And, just thank you for adopting too, because like I said, you didn't just save Luna, you saved the dog that got to take her place in that shelter. So.
Well, thank you. That means a lot, and we couldn't have done it without Buddies. All right. Thank you so much, Julie, for joining us today. Today's guest is Julie Starr from Buddy's Second Chance Dog Rescue, and she was graciously able to join us today. Please, if you have an opportunity to like and subscribe to Why Bother on Facebook and on YouTube, we are now available on all major podcast platforms, and you can visit Buddy's Second Chance's website at buddiesrescue.org. So thank you very much for joining in today. I am John Szablewski, and this has been another episode of Why Bother.